Alright guys, I was able to get a little bit more work done on the Humvee before I had to go back to work. I got the battery box more or less complete, and I went ahead and went into detail on how I did the conversion on from the Duramax, the LOY brake booster, and the brake pedal setup to make it fit inside the Humvee. It's pretty detail orientated, and tried to explain it as best as I could, just so you get an idea of how to do it if you're thinking about doing it yourself. So here goes the video. Alright guys, I'm working on the AC and the heater now. I got the factory Humvee heater core and blower motor in, so I can get dimensions of where the original stuff was at. I built copied the same design, but put a bigger plate of aluminum and got that so that way I can have the blend door. I'm gonna put another blend door on this side, so as this one's opening, the other one will be closing, so I can get fresh air from outside and then also recirculate the air inside the cab. This is a 90-degree throw for this to open, which is the same as in the Duramax. The AC system is a 90-degree throw, so I should be able to use the same actuator to operate this and the other one at the same time. I'm gonna put a shaft in the center that links them together, and probably make the airflow come up here and hug the top, and come over to this side and build some other stuff to incorporate into that design. Unfortunately, this is not going to fit. It's just too big, and I don't like having all that stuff in the center. Some of the Alphas, and they're on the Alpha, and the other Hummers, they have that big old center console, and I don't like having all that stuff in the center. Feels like I got a wall in between me and the passenger, and I don't really care for that. I'm going to try and keep it as open as possible. And yeah, so there's that. You can see, get it in there. Alright, so I'm cutting the steering wheel column shorter. This is one of the bars that's actually inside the steering column. Quick way to make a straight line around the circumference of the bar is to use like a pipe cutter. Dig a nice little groove into it, and then you can follow it a little easier with the bandsaw. This is my portaband. I made a little stand for it, so that way I can cut metal just like a upright bandsaw and not have to buy extra stuff. There's that. And here's the little knuckle that actually fits to the steering wheel itself as it's turning inside the steering column. Alright, so I'm going to give you a quick breakdown of what's going on. So I pulled out the old brake pedal and the bracketry. The stroke on the piston for the Humvee is completely different than what it is on the Duramax. The pin, I pressed it out on the old or on the Duramax, and this one's probably going to end up getting cut off, or I may just leave it in case I ever want to swap something back. Not that I would, but had to drill a 5/8 hole. Then over here, this is the one from the Duramax. I kind of butchered it up so that way I could take my measurements. But the height from the back, or from the wall to the nut, or the rotation, is different than what the Humvee is. So that makes it the stroke of the actual what do you call it, the brake booster and all that stuff, different. And it's also pushed forward, I think 3/8 of an inch more. So I'm having to fill this hole, and this is where the new one's going to be, so it's up and it's over. And I'm going to have to transfer the same measurements on that side as well. Yeah, I started with a straight edge and then made my marks and just started doing a layout and figured out exactly where it needs to go. As you can see, the bar right here on the Duramax is just about centered. So I measured from this wall right here over to get my measurement on the inside or the outside of it. And then I did the same thing on the what's it called, on the actual Humvee one, and put my measurements down there. So now I know exactly where it needs to sit. I got the top, which will be the max, right here, and then the inside of the frame is where my mark is here. So now I just need to raise everything up and drill that hole out, and then I'll be able to use the factory pedal. And I just need to locate the pins, and I think some of the bolt holes are right here in the way of this. When I tried to do it the first time, it wasn't going to work, so I knew I was going to have to swap everything over. So I'm probably going to cut this whole section out, put a patch panel in, re-weld this up, and then put more structure into it that I cut out, and then go from there. And then I think on this top side right up here, I may have to add a little bit more, just so that way it's got some more structure. So, but that's where I'm at right now. And if anybody's thinking about doing this, be ready for a lot of work and having to do a lot of critical thinking on this, because it's not something that you can just throw right over and be done with it. So, alright guys, here's a kind of mid modification video. Ended up adding a plate onto this side. I'm gonna plug weld the old holes where the brakes used to be. Or where the brake pedal used to be. I have a locating hole right there already drilled. So once I fill that hole, I can drill the new hole. And the new hole is going to be kind of towards the edge. So what I did was I added a gusset plate to give it a little bit of extra strength. Also on this one, you can see the old hole, and then where the new hole needs to be is of course right there. So I went ahead and made another plate, or not a gusset plate, a sandwich plate, and it should give it added strength, so that way the pedal doesn't break the existing aluminum on there. But there's that. Let me get a little more progress done and I'll shoot y'all another video. Alright guys, I got to the next step of the process of doing this brake conversion. Went ahead and drilled my holes, got it all tightened down. Again, I made this gusset plate, or the sandwich plate, to thicken up the structure to make it stronger, since it's closer to the edge now. Did the same thing on the other side. So I need to shorten this because I moved it up. So now the spring has a little bit more travel with, or a little less travel with not a lot of tension on the spring, so it doesn't really do much. I relocated this to match the same distance from these 2 points on the Duramax, so now it should have the same stroke. And now all I have to do is fill these holes, take my hack job off of that I did when I was trying to see how it would fit inside the truck, and get everything ready to drill the new bolt holes, which will actually line up on here and be over here on this side of the plate. And I'm probably going to put a center plate in here to beef everything up, because I'm going to have to cut this part out and then weld another flat plate sticking up to give it some rigidity. But I'm pretty happy with it. I thought it was going to be a nightmare. It actually wasn't that bad. Just takes a little time thinking about how everything's supposed to work together. So, but there you go. Alright guys, I got to the next step of this conversion. Got the centerpiece filled in, with a little blank, I guess, and center hole drilled. And then from there I'm going to make my template to cut the other holes and fill up the existing Humvee holes that were there. So everything will be for the Duramax when I put it in. We got the modification holes drilled. Alright guys, so I had to pull this back out again. The angle of the brake pedal wasn't exactly right. It was hitting my foot too early, so I needed to lower the angle so it was a little closer towards the floorboard. So what I had to do, I tried to split the weld, hoping that they welded around this side and welded around the other side. I couldn't find where it was actually welded at in a reasonable time, so I just went ahead and cut it right here on the back, and I cut it flush and sanded it smooth. So that being said, I got my new location marks where it needs to be. I'm gonna put a couple tacks on here and then put it back up in the truck, and as you can see, I got the panel patched and the new holes drilled for the new brake booster. It's completely different bolt pattern and layout in the height and the stroke of it, so it didn't just it wasn't just a plug and play type thing, but I think it came out pretty good. I had to bust the rivets. I don't really feel like putting the rivets back in, so I'm just going to bolt it up. I got some waterproof washers, and I'm going to put some silicone in there to get it to hold. But everything's starting to come together. It's got plenty of room for articulation and everything. So there's that part. Alright guys, I'm starting to work on the battery tray. I'm test fitting everything right now. Made them a hair bigger for the Optimas, and then of course I can run the standard big batteries. So there it is. It's out of an old tray that I had for a toolbox, and I just cut it down to size, but more or less everything was already made.